keynote speaker is General James Jim Combs. Jim retired in 2009 from the Army after 42 years in uniform. He is a veteran of both Vietnam and Enduring Freedom campaigns. His military capstone assignments included commanding the California Army National Guard while deploying over 7,000 troops to Iraq and Afghanistan, and serving as the commanding general of the 40th Infantry Division, which deployed over 2 brigades in the fight against terrorism. In October 2015, Jim was appointed by the Secretary of Defense as the state chairman of California's Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve Committee. His primary mission is to help create a favorable relationship between California's 58,000 Guard and Reserve members and their employers, reduce unemployment among reservists, and when required, act as a mediator to resolve conflicts with employers. By the way, California has the largest ready reserve structure in the country, with over 58,000 reservists serving in the Guard and Reserves of the Army, Navy, Marine, Air Force, and Coast Guard. On that note, please join me to give a warm welcome to General James Jim Combs.
Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. This is a wonderful opportunity to be here with you. I mean, it makes me feel special knowing the kind of effort and the journey that you started here with some of you for several years. But I don't think we did a good enough job in recognizing the support team that we have behind us here. And all the time that I've been in service and struggled with the support team, it always carried the day. What a talented leadership team, as you heard already. Been significant in the role with our Guard Reserve members and those that have been transitioning off active duty. A major resource this university has been to them. Also acknowledge our valedictorian here today, and we'll be hearing from Elif in a few minutes. Also tremendously accomplished, completing multiple programs here with the university. Really a distinguished educator. To the rest of the distinguished faculty that I'm delighted here to be with, the family members we just acknowledged, but mostly importantly, those of you that I had a chance to talk to out in the hallway, and those that I didn't, what an amazing achievement. Truly, a milestone in your life, and you'll reflect back on this as a major, major contributor to who you ultimately become. Well done. My greatest respect to what you've done. Why am I here? What should I talk about? Well, I really gave that a lot of thought. And I think the only thing I can offer you is a personal window into who I am and what my journey was like a little bit. And maybe 1 or 2 ideas of how I dealt with it. So, if you'll bear with me, the first thing I would say that I want to do a specialized salute to Touro University Worldwide on behalf of the 1,000 people that I represent, literally. While I was in command there, and then later now as the committee chair, there's so many that have gone online and benefit directly from the unique approach that Touro University has taken to getting them through this program. It makes such a big difference to them, because many of them were deployed worldwide while they're trying to get their education. And it is so hard, unless you have a compassionate faculty and the capacity to sit there and tailor unique programs to each person. Now, if you're going through it now, you know what I'm saying, right? And that's what it was like for them, holding down a job, taking care of a family, and being deployed worldwide, and yet they stood next to them and helped them all along the journey. So again, my salute to Touro University Worldwide and their support. Now, while serving as the commander of the 40th Infantry Division and later as the chair, it was very interesting to me that graduation from any professional development program always was a key marking point and milestone to anybody that undertook that struggle. Academic rigor is not easy. To accomplish the goal, otherwise this room would be filled with literally hundreds and thousands of people every year seeking it out. It's hard to do, therefore few step up to the challenge and get it done. The fact that you internalized it, made it happen for yourself and your families and those that love you is a huge thing. It can't be overemphasized. So, when you finally graduate, and as Dr. Newman pointed out earlier, it's time to reassess where you want to go from here. So in that effort to reassess, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the experience I've had with the 58,000 Guard reservists that I work with, the employers, some 50,000 employers I work with, and what they are seeking in the way of somebody that they would want to bring onto their team. And what they are looking for in an individual that goes on and gets the education and how they apply it. And most of them have shared with me a model that they believe had great effect on their most effective employees. So I will share my experience, how I developed my coping mechanism, if you will, to guide my life. And maybe, just maybe, you'll see somewhere in my little story here how it fits with your life. So that said, recognizing the hard work has been accomplished, it is now time to look at the kind of things that drive us. The first question I would have you ask, those of you in the audience today, this is directed at you as well. What is it that makes you happy? When are you most satisfied? What creates the best possible opportunities for you? Or do you want social recognition and respect? Are you seeking self-dependency, the ability to be actualized and do what you want to do without constraint? Is it financial independence you're seeking? Is that what would make you happy, all the money that could be provided to you? Well, let's say it won't hurt. But is that the driver? The point I'm making is, I hope every one of you sitting in the room today have a dream. You truly do. You've decided and visualized something for yourself. Where you want to be in the next year. Where do you want to be when you're my age? Oh yeah, you're going to go there. It's going to happen. So you need to be thinking in terms of what the perfect world is for you. Because if you don't visualize it now, you will struggle in putting this education to work, being absorbed into the workplace, and finding your sense of meaning in life. So now is the time to do that assessment. Now is the time to walk away today with a knowledge of what you want to become, and what and who you want to do it with, and what the outcomes of your life are going to be when you're my age or older. This is the time. Whether you're 59 years old, which is our oldest graduate today, or you're 23 years old. Whether you're from New York, Nebraska, or you're in California. We all share the common thing. We have to have that dream. So if you're asked right now, those of you out there sitting in those chairs or you here, what is your dream? What makes you complete? Can you answer it? If you can, you're ahead of a lot of people. A lot of people, because they don't think it through. Well, my learning experience that galvanized what I wanted to be started in Vietnam many, many years ago. In fact, the year was 1968. It was the year that they were walking on the moon. And it was a dark time in the history of the United States. A lot of difficult things. Well, I got deployed into Iraq as a staff sergeant. And when I arrived there, my experience in combat, literally watching those die, watching great compassion, watching casualties that I'd never seen before, seeing people lift themselves beyond the casualty and the handicaps that they inherited in Vietnam and conquer them. I saw it all. And through all of that experience, killing another human being, it changes you forever. And I hope you will never, ever experience the level of violence I had to witness there in Iraq or dealing with terrorism here around the world. Nobody should have to endure that. But it did do one thing for me that was a positive. I came back totally understanding what it is I stood for, why I was there, what I wanted to be. And I really knew that I had to set the course because I was eager to make the most of the life that I'm given. Whether it's an obsession with caring for my family, or whether it was taking up a cause for our nation, or indeed for the world. Know where you want to take yourself, because that is the huge step in getting there. I also understood something else. There is a tremendous power in understanding what sacrifice does to build character. It really does. And the sacrifices that you've endured in your degree program are not unlike the sacrifices those that are out, your loved ones are out there supporting you, deal with when they're on the job or working with the family or whatever that they are faced with. So we're in it together, right? But appreciating the fact that you have to sacrifice to achieve great things. even to achieve small things, is of great value. Make no mistake about it. The next area is, why do some succeed where others don't? I can tell you right up front, because somebody has a plan, because they know where they want to go, and you can achieve position and rank. So if you were to ask me, how did you become a general? I could probably spend the better part of the day telling you all the things that probably influenced it. But really it boils down to a few things. I can tell you why I didn't. I didn't become a general because I was better looking than the staff or you. Okay? I didn't become a general because I was rich and I had a lot of money. Nor did I become a general because I had a huge intellect, like all the doctorates that have gathered here today. That's not why. So what was it then? Hard-ass work. Excuse the language. All right? So let me tell you how it came to life, and how this last story that I'm going to share with you was the one that I felt shaped me the most in my 42-year career. The bottom line was, I was sitting around one day. I was the executive officer of a brigade here in California, and a brigade consists of about 2,500 people. I had 5 battalions strewn from Eureka, California, all the way down to San Diego, some 750 miles. And my responsibility was to take those folks, get them ready for combat, because my boss demanded it, and I was his deputy. And so I knew that that was my immediate mission. But it wasn't everything that I wanted for myself. My vision was a little bit different. Then one day, I stumbled upon an announcement that came out. It came from the very adjutant general, the highest ranking general in the California National Guard, and he was out there asking colonels, young colonels like myself, if they would consider stepping up to a new challenge. Well, I had my hands full, so I wasn't really particularly looking for a new challenge at the time. But nonetheless, the challenge would present itself to me. And the way it did that was I went back and took a look at my personal plan. Okay, you see in the little process here, I had a vision. I knew it would take hard work to accomplish it, and I needed a plan in place, a written plan in place. And I had one of those. I called it my self-development plan. Everyone has it. Most of us keep it up in our head. We don't literally sit down and write it out. We don't say how, where, and when. Because that requires a level of thinking and commitment that often people won't go to. Now, you know it, graduates, because you just did it, right? You plotted your educational requirements, you've set a timeline, and you now have achieved success. Well, I was doing the same thing with the brigade. And then what the advertisement said, we needed a young colonel to go to the Ukraine. And we needed that young colonel somewhere in the state to lead a multinational task force into the Ukraine to assist in building quick relationships with the Ukrainian army. And why did they want to do that? Because the Ukraine at the time, this is 1995, wanted to join NATO and become a part of that security pact. Why? Because they feared what happened later. The Russians would seize their land and overthrow their government. And so they wanted to get closer, so they wanted to build a relationship with it. So they did ask for volunteers. So I recognize that I love counterintelligence work. Spent most of my life doing that kind of work. This was the perfect opportunity to put that skill set to work. And I thought to myself, but my hands are full, I got a lot going on, I'm not sure I could do that. So I had to think through the process of how I would make this happen. And this is how ultimately it unfolded. I went to my brigade commander and said, I'd really like to take this job. It really fits with what I like to do. And I envisioned myself as being this multinational leader that can make a difference. Well, after he chuckled to himself, thought that I was a little full of myself, the next thing he told me was, you have an obligation here to prepare my brigade to deploy. It just got back from Desert Storm, and you got to get it ready to rock and roll. Well, but I have this other thing I'd like to do. No, I don't think it's a good idea. Your hands are full. I went to my wife. What did she do? She looked at me and said, you're crazy. You've got a complete thing. Our son is young. We got a lot of activities here. The bills are stacking up. You can't afford to be running off doing this exercise. Okay, thank you, dear. I see that this might be a bit of a challenge. Oh, and then I found out that I had to do it while I was doing the other job. I couldn't break away and just do it myself. And then I found out, at least in 7 months, and I had to learn a language before I went over there. So I rang up the Defense Language Institute and I said, all right, what do I got to do now? And they said, well, you're going to do online training. I hated online training. That was not a good day for me. Learn a language online? No, that's too hard. So what I did, after looking at all the naysayers, hearing what they had to say, you know what I did, right? I said, to hell with it. I'm going for it. So I went back, and all my naysayers, to their credit, immediately turned their attention to being enablers. Not a barrier, but an enabler. That's the people that are sitting behind you. Those that look at your goals and stand behind you and then become the wind underneath your wings so that you can achieve what you personally want to accomplish in your life. And I think that's incredibly important. So I took the mission. I went over there. I was able to meet with the 21 countries that were involved. We had an extraordinarily successful event, and we came back. So what was the point? What was the reward? Well, I achieved something I wanted for myself. There was an intrinsic and extrinsic reward as a consequence. But I also got acknowledgement from the governor of California. And when I went up to be interviewed to be the commander of the Army Guard, the one thing on his mind was, hey, he didn't call me Jim. He said, Colonel Combs, we're going to make you a general. And the reason we are is because you climbed a mountain that nobody thought possible, and you created long-term lasting relationship with the government of the Ukraine and the ground forces of the Ukraine. Which, oh, by the way, that exercise is still going on today. So it did have some value. I felt I made an impact, and it satisfied all kinds of personal needs. Not just selfish ones, but for me, for my family, for the organization that I'd fallen in love with, the military. And as a result of that was a sense of personal gratification and acknowledgement, which led to a promotion. So at the end of the day, there is a general formula that will consist of about 6 words. And then I'll wrap this up, Debbie. Thank you for the head. She's cut me off, okay? And I don't blame her. You know, I get you can't be doing this all the time. So I'm going to basically go to the end and talk about the things I'd like you to remember. Please remember this. Every one of you out there have a dream. Hold on to it and think about it. The next step you need to take is, what do you have to do to get to the dream? Develop a personal plan. I don't care if you're growing up now, if you got a job, or you got 3 jobs, or you're a graduate today. You have to have a plan for yourself to achieve the next level of personal satisfaction. I'm talking being selfish. Plus, you can be generous with others. Have a plan that includes giving back, helping others, lifting them up. Once you have a plan, then set a timeline. Put them in motion. Once you set a timeline, then commit and make sacrifices. This is the hardest thing that you'll ever do in your life, is to sacrifice the things you love to do. You have no idea how much motorcycle riding I had to give up to go to language school. It was a horrible experience. But you know what? There's payoff with sacrifice. It builds a sense of achievement. And that is a positive thing to have in your heart and in your mind. And that's what education can do. And that's what a personal experience can do. And then when you get there, glorify in it. Enjoy that moment. That's what you should be doing today. You should be so happy with yourself, you can't stand it. Because this is something you achieve with the help of those that care about you. All right. Right? The team got there. Don't lose sight of that. And then when you get there and you achieve, do you stop? No. Learning is a lifetime event. Right? You never stop doing it. I don't care who you are. The question is, are you getting to where you want to go? Did you develop the skills that you want? Did you have a plan to get there? And are you being honest with yourself? You yawned very long. That was terrible. I feel almost horrible about this. Okay, I'll get off the stage. I'm going to leave you with this. Just a brief from a great author of mine. Live the life of your dreams. When you start living the life of your dreams, there will always be obstacles, doubters, mistakes, and setbacks along the way. But with a plan, hard work, perseverance, holding hands with your support team, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Ladies and gentlemen, support team, graduates, from the bottom of my heart, I wish you every success in your life. I truly do. I hope that our paths will cross in the future, although I don't get to New York very often. But I hope it does, and may God bless you in your journey. May God continue to bless this great school and this wonderful country of ours. Thank you.